Hi everyone, welcome to the November edition of Wavelength. Well, 1998 will certainly go down as one of the most extreme weather years in Texas history. Tropical storms, record high temperatures and drought, and now record rainfall amounts creating devastating floods on the Colorado and Guadalupe rivers. Heavy rain started to fall in the Austin area on Saturday morning, October 17th. Creeks, which are normally dry this time of year, quickly became raging rivers, closing roads at low water crossings all over Austin.
The flood which occurred this weekend has been very typical from many of the flash floods we've seen across Texas. The setup is that we were in a very moist atmosphere, flow coming in from both the Pacific and the Gulf of Mexico. We had the strong flow which was funneling up right into central Texas. The Pacific flow was also coming up out of the Pacific towards central Texas, and they converged right over the region. Fortunately, this convergence, though, was right below the dams. It was right along the Austin area down to about San Antonio, right along the escarpment. And fortunately for us, the rain was south of this area, didn't get very much into the hill country. The rain, unfortunately, though, persisted. It continued to train. It moved over the same area from about San Antonio to Austin up to about Waco for several hours, all through Saturday morning, and really didn't end until late Saturday night and going into Sunday.
And then they're looking at a second one of 47 feet.
At this point, the LCRA hotline was in full swing, answering hundreds of calls from concerned citizens and community leaders throughout the river basin. Here at the River Operations Center, information is gathered from rain and stream gauges all over the region. This data is forwarded to the National Weather Service, which uses computer models to help them predict how high the river will rise. LCRA hydrologists then pass this information on to the hotline operators and news media outlets.
The water's coming down from this area, from Austin and off Onion Creek, got the river up in the 30-foot range, but not up in the 40-foot range where it was to get on down the way. This is where the flood started, was through Smithville. We began to get up to some Christmas flood elevations at Smithville, and then when Buckner's Creek, which drains the western portion of Fayette County, when it joined the river at LaGrange, then we did have a historic flood on the Colorado River.
In Bastrop, Fisherman's Park and the Riverwalk were under several feet of water. Near Smithville, the river rose up to claim several homes, and we began to see the toll this flood would have on livestock and wildlife. It's estimated that 15,000 head of cattle are missing on the Colorado and Guadalupe rivers. As the waters continued to rise, the human drama of people helping their neighbors played out countless times throughout the area.
And then when we drove by, the man was standing out there and he was hollering help. So we pulled over to the side and my husband called 911.
Where was he standing?
Up in the window in that second floor, hollering. We were standing right here looking at the house. It was horrible. I just really felt for him. I mean, you know, if it were me, I just can't even imagine.
This particular story had a happy ending. The man was rescued and brought to safety by boat. By Wednesday, October 21st, it was clear that the city of Wharton would be hardest hit on the Colorado River. Projections called for a crest of 50 feet, which would put water in several neighborhoods and probably in downtown streets.
We need to take this very seriously. And if you're in one of these areas, we're very seriously urging you to get out of town, go to a shelter in El Campo, which is at the Civic Center. At some point in time, those roads might become impassable. In fact, at these numbers, they probably will become impassable.
Rescue Ops Unit 44, come in, Roger.
LCRA sent in the Emergency Communications Unit, which quickly became the hub of communications for all the agencies lending support in Wharton.
I really believe in my heart that the real story is watching the various volunteers, the various governmental agencies come together, work tirelessly, put in overtime, put in nonstop 24-hour days, all to try to help their fellow citizens. And that's been overwhelming to me here in my first term as mayor.
I guess the most threatening thing, of course, is the potential loss for not only property, but for life. And thus far as I know, based on the information that I have, it seems as if we have no casualties. So that is good news. The bad news is that I'll probably have water in my house.
On the west side of Wharton, hundreds of homes were already in the water, and evacuation efforts were underway.
As we got there, we could see that the current of the water was getting worse and worse and worse in that neighborhood. So that's when we decided that it was a good time to call in the LCRA Swiftwater Rescue Team. Without them, we basically could not operate in that type of situation. There's only a few of us that have the training, and we're just very appreciative that they're here to help us out with that. And we're also appreciative we have the National Guard. They have their high-profile vehicle. They're working with the LCRA along with the firefighters to go in there to make sure the area is secure, and anybody that wants to come out, come out. The people that are trying to stay, we're pleading with them to get out now because this isn't the worst that they're going to see.
The LCRA Rangers had also participated in several swift water and aerial rescue operations on the Guadalupe River near New Braunfels on Saturday. They had been there to teach a class in swift water rescue techniques when suddenly teachers and students were called into action.
It was raining, thunder, lightning, and I thought, well, if the lightning will stop, the rain is good for the class, but it just didn't stop. And it continued to rain and continued to rain to the point that the facility in which we were going to be training in actually disappeared underwater. We knew then it was going to be a very long day. At that point, we were asked by the local New Braunfels Fire Department representative to please come up and help them, that they were taking on numerous rescues, and could we help. Another member of the team and myself were asked to be with the Air National Guard on a helicopter crew, and we were doing a routine patrol over one of the creeks, and I caught out of the corner of my eye something that looked a little abnormal, and it turned out to be an elderly gentleman who had been on his roof since 2:30 that morning. It was about 3 in the afternoon when we found him. We had to deploy out of a basket, being flown by the helicopter in there, got out on top of his rooftop, got him into the basket, and off we flew. So that was a huge success. He was suffering from exposure, hypothermia, and some small injuries, cuts and bruises. That was a huge success.
What did he say when he got in that bird?
Actually, what he said was, "I am really cold," and then a lot of praise and a lot of thank you.
The Rangers being here has been a tremendous support to the sheriff and the police. They've been doing law enforcement patrol work as well as some rescue. Their story is a great story all up and down this event, and we'll focus on that a little bit later on, but they have really performed well. The communications trailer, I mean, it's been the hub of information, and what people need from us in an event like this is information. We know what the river is going to do when it's going to do it. We have the vital information, so getting organized to provide that information is a key role for us, and then providing expertise.
Well, Mark, the Colorado River you see behind me is still rising, and it's not expected to crest until tomorrow afternoon.
News crews from all around the state converged on Wharton to witness this historic event, and people came from all over the area to gaze at the swollen river.
By Wednesday evening here in Wharton, the river continued its gradual rise towards a new record level, and local citizens came to its banks for one final look before night fell.
Well, I just wanted to come and see one more time what it looked like before I left town. Before I lived just a few streets down, and so I didn't want to take a chance of getting flooded in.
I came down because, well, everybody was interested, and it's such a big deal around here, and I'm just was worried for myself because, things like this, you just never know.
Upstream of Wharton near Garwood, the Colorado spread out for miles, covering tens of thousands of acres with water. This phenomenon surely spared downtown Wharton from flooding. On Friday morning, the river crested in Wharton at 48.7 feet.
We have used a helicopter for our own purposes and provided that to the local community, and that has been a significant contribution. Matter of fact, the city and the county engineer are up right now checking some things out in terms of what's going to happen. So that's been a good resource. Add it all up, We're really very, very fortunate in the Colorado River Basin. Could have been much, much worse. And the Guadalupe really is a bad situation, particularly for our electric customers over in Cuero.
The Guadalupe River roared through New Braunfels, ripping houses off their foundations, and then headed for Cuero with devastating force. Hundreds of homes were damaged or destroyed, businesses washed away, and electric service gone.
The problem is that we're wiped out. A large amount of water flowed through here with a tremendous force. It's moved houses off their foundations, it's destroyed houses completely. Houses are just shaken apart, falling apart, blown apart. We got poles down everywhere, and we need help. We need help bad, and LCRA is going to come down here and give us a hand. We got poles broke off at the ground. We got poles pushed over. We got transformers down. We got 500 or 600 homes without electricity right now at this point. And some of these people, there's no getting them back on. They're just completely wiped out.
Talked to Chief Allen here in Cuero, and he has called that DPS number in Corpus Christi, can't get through.
We got, meters are coming in tomorrow.
Wonderful.
They're already ordered, 500.
Okay.
They'll be here tomorrow, shipped to you.
It gets frustrating sometimes, but if the people just bear with us, we're going to get them back on.
LCRA sent in electric crews to help restore power and also to help prepare for the massive cleanup to follow.
We've been asked to come down and support the city of Cuero in cleaning up their debris and trash and refuge from the flooded homes. We're going to be doing it somewhat similar to what we've done in the lakes in the past. We're going to try to set up a collection site and where people can bring it to us. We'll sort it by class and waste and dispose of it in a proper manner. We're also going to be working, try to get with TxDOT, National Guard, and those folks to help come around through the city and set up a regular route just to pick it up from them at their homes.
It will take quite a while for the water quality of the Colorado River to recover from the huge load of pollutants washed in by the floodwaters. 20 counties in Texas were declared disaster areas by the president, with damage estimates running into hundreds of millions of dollars. By the end of October, the death toll from these floods had reached 29.
On a recent edition of Wavelength, we told you about the LCRA's efforts to require the owners of a pipeline which cuts right through the heart of the LCRA service area to conduct an environmental impact study before they begin shipping refined petroleum products through that line. Well, it wasn't long after that story was distributed when we got a huge wake-up call about what can happen when something goes wrong with a pipeline. Residents of this North Houston neighborhood were jolted on October 8th when a 20-inch pipeline owned by Longhorn Partners erupted in a ball of fire.
It was a loud explosion. I have some dogs and they were trying to get in the house because of the explosion. So I went to my back door and there it was, 30 to 50 foot inferno. All you can see is blaze, and the heat was so hot I can feel it at my back door.
The fireball could be seen for miles as an estimated 1,000 gallons of diesel fuel spewed from the pipe. The inferno melted a Houston Lighting and Power transmission tower and a truck belonging to the crew that was working on the line. Fortunately, both men escaped without serious injury. This is the very same line that eventually cuts through the LCRA service area, and it was a reminder that if an accident like this occurred near the Colorado River, the impact on both the environment and people who live near the line could be significant. The 48-year-old pipeline was originally used to transport crude oil, but it dead-ended just west of Junction. Now Longhorn wants to extend the line to El Paso and send gasoline, diesel, and other refined products, which tend to be far more volatile than crude oil, through the pipeline. The LCRA does not have a problem with that part of Longhorn's plan, so long as they conduct a formal environmental impact study.
Anytime we have a pipeline explode in or near our river, who do you think folks are going to call first? I mean, we lived through that in the '91 flood when we had some problems, and then we had some problems a couple of years ago. I mean, they pick up the phone and they call the LCRA. But it's not a CYA. position on our part. It's our job. It's our responsibility. I regret we got into this one as late as we did. That's also been a little bit of a wake-up call for me as a manager, that perhaps we're not doing quite as good of a job watching the river as we were doing a few years ago. We may be patting ourselves on the back a little too much, and we may have become a little too complacent when it comes to our job of watching that river and knowing everything that's going on. And so we're going to step up those activities a little bit.
Over the years, the LCRA has learned that it's important to have balance when fighting for environmental causes. In the coming months, the LCRA will have an open dialogue with Longhorn in the hopes that the need for energy can be balanced with the need for a clean environment.
LCRA's Kingsland Archaeological Center has been renamed the Nightingale Archaeological Center for Bruce Nightingale, former LCRA staff archaeologist. The LCRA Board of Directors formally dedicated the center at an open house in October. Before his untimely death back in April, Bruce Nightingale helped open the center to the public and taught thousands of school children and other visitors about the prehistory of the Central Texas area. He made learning about the past fun and exciting. And in Fayette County at the LCRA Cooper Farm Resource Area, recent retiree Merle Sternadel has also been honored. Merle played a key role in developing Cooper Farm as a natural science laboratory and in establishing the North Central Fayette County Wildlife Management Cooperative. The meeting barn at Cooper Farm has been formally renamed the Sternadel Meeting Barn, dedicated as a place of discussion, learning, and good fellowship.
Friends and family of Colleen Reed gathered at the Central Christian Church in Austin recently to remember her wonderful spirit and to finally say goodbye. Colleen, who worked at the LCRA, was abducted from an Austin car wash on December 29, 1991. Nearly 7 years later, her remains were finally recovered near Waco.
Valencia K. Joshua.
Lori Bible, Colleen's sister, placed a single white rose in a vase for each of the people Kenneth Allen McDuff was convicted or suspected of killing.
And Colleen Reed.
14 names in all.
We bring our deep grief. We bring our genuine gratitude for Colleen's family, her dear friends and work associates at LCRA, and we bring our gratitude to those whose caring pursuit of justice has made these healing moments possible.
A memorial fund honoring Colleen Reed has been set up to help victims of violent crime. Donations can be made to Victims Against Violent Crimes, P.O. Box 9621, Austin, Texas 78709.
Hallelujah. God bless the child who suffered.